Hello there, YouTube. It's your boy B3, back with another kicking action figure review. Ooh, yes! It is time for our review of the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse, The Flash, from the Flash movie. You know, the one that was in, like, production hell, like, forever, and, like, most of the actors left it, and then no one saw it. That one, I didn't see it either. I just collect speedsters, specifically Speed Force speedsters. I don't really have a lot of Marvel speedsters. I think I have one. I think I have The Wiz. He's not called that anymore, but Speed Demon now. But I really like collecting DC speedsters. And even without seeing the movie, this guy was $5 in a lightning sale in package. I had to have him. $5. Magnificent. And he actually is a pretty cool figure. He's very reminiscent of the kind of New 52 and maybe some of the DC Rebirth look for the Flash in the comics, which is pretty cool. He's got kind of this nice shine to him, a lot of good texture all over. Very clean paint, very good sculpting. I rather like him. He does look good, even though he has Ezra Miller's filthy criminal face. Oh well. Quick articulation. We got a great up on the head and a pretty decent down, you know? Like, he looks down good enough, and it can be compensated for with other joints. You've got side to side, a nice wobble. You guys know I like the wobble. A good bit of movement right in there. Ooh, that's nice. Up and down on the arms. Rotation, bicep swivel, double elbow bend. You have forward and back on the wrists, and there's a rotation on each end of that joint. So you can have the hands go side to side or forward and back, however you choose. Which is pretty ace. You know, you got a lot of movement in the torso and a lot in the waist there. In and out on the legs, forward, and what's necessary for a speedster is a good bit of back. His butt is a little saggy, so it could go back a little farther. Some of my other McFarlanes do go back farther, but it's good enough. You can get him in a good running pose. You know, you got a double knee bend. You have up and down on the feet, and there's also, you know, a top and bottom of the joint there you can turn on. But here you swivel. Toe beans, peg holes. And showing off those peg holes is probably a good segue into accessories, because those peg holes go on the standard DC stand that McFarlane puts with their DC figures. There's also a flight stand that they sometimes throw in, but this one's good for speedsters because if you have them running, you're probably going to have one leg up, so you'll want the other one in the peg if you have them displayed running. And you can get this guy in quite a good running pose. I'm not trying to do a real hardcore pose here, but, you know, I can do better than that, I promise. All these McFarlane figures from DC also come with a trading card. Not the biggest fan of the art on this card. Bit of a read-up on the back here, which I assume is about the movie. Just a real, probably basic, bare-bones read-up. If you want to pause it and read it, go ahead. Or you could watch the movie. You'd probably rather read the back of this card. Yeah, it's an okay card. I like the concept of the trading cards with action figures because I collect trading cards and it's a little nostalgic, like the Trendmasters Godzillas from when I was a kid, but you know, I could live without him at the end of the day. But unlike the Dark Flash that we reviewed before, this guy actually does have a bunch of actual accessories for the figure. He comes with all these different lightning effects, which you can snap onto his arms and legs, so you can kind of have the Speed Force, you know, coming off of him, which I think is very, very, very interesting. You know, you can see these kind of little loops on each one, which will just let you attach them to his boyish little bits and whatnot. It really works out. Yeah, that is an ugly running pose. It's like how I run. Woof. Alright, well now it's time for everybody's favorite part, size comparisons! Let's straighten him out so it can be accurate. God, he's a lanky kind of guy, but I guess he is a runner. So, I don't forgive it. But let's lay him down here. First off, let's show him with a couple figures from his movie. I actually have most of the Flash movie wave, despite not seeing it. I like the designs, sue me. In addition to speedsters, I also really like collecting Kryptonians. So I got the Supergirl from the movie. And as I said, I do have the Dark Flash. I got these guys for $5 each. Insane deal. Insane deal. But yeah, he seems to scale perfectly well with both of them. And it's good that he scales well with his own line. But I think we should test it a little bit further. Let's test it now with comic book figures from his own line. Those were movie figures. Now let's test it with comic book figures like Hush from Batman Hush, my favorite Batman story. Alright, and also the Justice League Endless Winter Black Adam, which just kind of makes a good general, like, Rebirth Black Adam kind of look. Just a good general modern Black Adam figure, even if you haven't read Endless Winter. And I think he scales pretty good with them. They're a lot bulkier than him, but that kind of makes sense. Once again, he's a runner. Especially makes sense with him, and then this guy's in a trench coat, for Christ's sake. So yeah, I think he does also scale well with the comic book figures. That is good to know. Now, next up, I want to show him with some Mattels. Mattel's DC lines are all defunct. McFarlane is the one doing all that now. But here he is with the DC Universe Classics, The Question. One of the most underrated DC characters, if you ask me. Well, now he's DC. Anyway, I also have a movie figure from one of their later movie waves. It is the Justice League Cyborg from their DC Comics Multiverse line. And both these guys are just too short to chill with the Flash. McFarlane did make us another Cyborg, so that's that. But if you do want this Cyborg, I might sell him on eBay. I'm considering it. Alrighty. Well, let's pop these fellas out of here. Now, who else are we going to compare him with? Well, Mattel also had a line that was just for DC movie figures. So how about we show him with some of those that are in quote-unquote continuity with him? Who knows, right? How about the Mattel DC Comics Movie Masters General Zod? This is a regular General Zod in his skin suit from the Man of Steel line. Here is the Superman from the Man of Steel line, and they are so small compared to him. Oh my god, look how much taller he is. Nah, that ain't doing it for Daddy. Sorry. Sorry, folks. And these are actually shorter than their DC Universe Classics figures. And now some figures that are actually in his scale. Here's the McFarlane re-release of the DC Direct, DC Collectibles, DC Essentials, Deceased Unkillables, a Zombie Red Hood. Well, quote-unquote zombie. That actually looks fine to me. Yeah, Barry's a little taller than him, but like the bulk and stuff is right, and it's like a normal amount of taller than him that like a human would be, you know? Also, I like to show this guy with other McFarlane figures, since this guy's kind of McFarlane's baby, you know? It is the McFarlane Toys Deluxe Al Simmons Spawn with Throne. And I think he looks pretty good with Flash too. Spawn here's crossed over with Batman at least 3 times. Yeah, I want to say 3. 2 kind of vintagey times, and then 1 very recent time. But yeah, he looks good with the Flash as well. So, the Flash is going to scale well with other 7-inch figures. And most importantly, he scales well with his own wave and his own line. As long as you scale well with your own toy line, you're in the clear. So, what are my final thoughts on the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Flash figure from the Flash movie? First off, Ezra Miller is a piece of shit. Second off, this figure is actually pretty cool. I think he'll go great in a Speedster display or a Justice League display, Multiverse, just DC Comics in general. He's a really pretty figure who moves well. Part of me wishes he would have come with some fist hands. But, I mean, they did give us a decent amount here, accessory-wise. But I'm not going to display him with those clipped on, in all honesty. I'm just not going to. But he is a nice figure that I think is pretty well made. And, to be honest, I've actually really liked this line in general. And by this line, I meant to say this wave. Because the only... Like, the Flash, Supergirl, and the Michael Keaton Batman I've all reviewed now. and I really liked all 3 of them. And then I reviewed the Dark Flash very recently, and I was like, he's fine. But I got them both for $5, and I wouldn't have paid full price for this guy. No way. If you get him loose. It's not like he has any accessories anyway. But this guy, you know what? He might be worth a good 20. Like, if you see him for 20, pay that. But I think he's substantially less than that, to be honest. I think he's a little under 20-something now. But that's it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the cool links in the description below. Facebook, Twitter, etc. And I'll be seeing you all, you guessed it, next time. Bye for now.